Delighted participants, let me extend a warm welcome and I cordially invite you for a panel discussion, Kerala Budget 2019-20, Efficiency and Effectiveness of Public Expenditure. Say, with an apology, there is a radical departure from the traditional convention of presenting and post-evaluation address. Now, our focus is effectiveness and efficiency of public expenditure. When we introduce a new product in the market, we are delighted. In the same way, our deliberation will be entirely in a different way. We are not going to analyze the extent of budget provision and resource allocation, but our main emphasis on how effectively the public expenditure is being utilized. In any budgetary discussion, three important functions are to be emphasized. First, social function. Two, or allocative function. Two, distributive function. And three, stabilization function. The allocation function traditionally deals with how budgetary resources are being allocated among alternative users, whereas the distributive function largely addresses the issue of income distribution, and every budget should address how far the concentration of income and wealth can be reduced, and a fair deal of approach is expected. And the stabilization function, the most important, deals with how growth with stability is to be maintained without compromising the provision for a rapid employment generation. You know, from 1951 onwards up to 1980, the growth of public expenditure has been 40 times higher than what is budgeted during the year 1951. And after 81 up to 2017, the growth of public expenditure has increased to a tune of 65,000. And when we deal with the growth of public expenditure, you have to bear in mind the direction and composition of public expenditure. So I am not going to deal with fiscal deficit. I think that in the course of discussion, that issue will be discussed. Dr. Kailas sir, Adegam, Vastavilla, he needs no introduction. Academic circular is well known. So I extend a hearty welcome. അതിനുശേഷം ഗിഫ്റ്റിൽ ജോലി ചെയ്യുന്ന അനിത ഇവിടെ നേരത്തെ ഒരു ഡിസ്കഷൻ വന്നതാണ്. വളരെ നന്നായിട്ട് ഇഫക്റ്റീവായിട്ട് കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിവുണ്ട്. ഈ സമയത്ത് വിളിച്ചപ്പോൾ 4 മണിക്ക് അവിടെ നിന്ന് ഇറങ്ങാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല, 5 മണിക്ക് ഇറങ്ങേണ്ടതാണ്. എങ്കിലും ഈ ഡിസ്കഷനുള്ള താല്പര്യത്തിൽ നേരത്തെ പഞ്ച് ചെയ്ത് പെർമിഷൻ വാങ്ങിച്ച് വന്നതിന് വളരെ നന്ദിയുണ്ട്. സൊസൈറ്റിയുടെ പേരിൽ, ക്രെഡിൻ്റെയും സപ്രത്തിൻ്റെയും പേരിൽ ഞാൻ ഹാർട്ടി വെൽക്കം. പിന്നെ ശ്രീക് മാത്യു, അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് സൊസൈറ്റിയുടെ പേരിൽ അദ്ദേഹം ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഭാഗമാണ്. എന്നാൽ തന്നെയും ഐ എക്സ്റ്റെൻഡ് ഹാർട്ടി ആൻഡ് വാം വെൽക്കം. അനിൽ, ഇദ്ദേഹം ഒരു ആക്ടിവിസ്റ്റാണ്. പല മീറ്റിംഗ് ഇവിടെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ആ ആർഗ്യുമെൻ്റ് എനിക്ക് വളരെ ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതെ, ഈ സൊസൈറ്റിയുടെ പേരിൽ എൻ്റെ ഹാർട്ടി വെൽക്കം. ഓഡിയൻ, ഞങ്ങൾ നിങ്ങളെ ആർദ്രമായിട്ട് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു. നിങ്ങളുടെ ഡിസ്കഷൻ അത് ക്രോഡീകരിച്ച് നമ്മൾ വേണ്ട വിധത്തിൽ അത് കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ വെൽക്കം സ്പീച്ചിൽ നിന്ന് വരുന്നു.
Respected panelists, dear discussants, honorable audience and my friends. This is a joint program, as Thomas Vargese already mentioned, that organized by a Center for Research, Extension and Development and Cred. And this discussion on Kerala budget for 2019-20 is not a conventional discussion. One of the days of discussion on budget, examining previous year's income, expenditure and a deficit, comparing current year's corresponding figures. Now we are talking about effectiveness and efficiency of public expenditure. We have 4 experts. Dr. K.N.S. used to work at UNDP for several decades. He is an expert in this field, and also he is an expert in quantitative methods. So he is going to present some methodological aspect regarding the efficiency and effectiveness of budgeting. And the next panelist is Dr. Anita Kumari, who is working as Associate Professor at Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation. She is also an expert in budgeting. She is also going to give in-depth information regarding this performance budgeting. And we are expecting Dr. Niyati for this discussion. He is working as a registrar of Rajiv Gandhi Center for Development Studies. He is also an expert in this area. And our discussants, Professor Azirek Matthew sir, Mr. Anil and Dr. Jay Kumar are also an expert and scholars in this area. They are also going to give specific ideas and insights regarding the performance budgeting. The first panelist, Dr. K.N.S. Nair, I am going warmly invite him to present his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for the kind words, and good evening, friends. The usual budget discussions address issues such as expenditure and revenue. Our expenditure is growing, revenue is falling behind. So how to generate additional revenue? Where we can tax? what are the, I mean, skews more and more, and they get even the last drop out of that. Okay. It is seldom being asked, are we, actually, is it okay? Is it okay? Can you hear? Should I keep it? Okay. So it's seldom being asked, are we spending our money effectively and efficiently? Because suppose there's a 10% wastage in our resources. That means you could provide the same level of goods and services with a 10% just the expenditure currently you have. So that means you don't have to run around looking for additional taxes, borrowing for something. Now, is it just sort of an utopian thought, or is it something practiced or to be practiced here and elsewhere? Let's look into that. Before that, though we all know, let me just give a glimpse of the idea of a budget as we understand now. A budget is an annual financial statement that provides revenue and expenditure for 3 years. That is, for the current financial year, it gives the budget estimate and the revised estimate. For the coming year, it gives the forecast of revenue and expenditure. And for the previous year, it gives the audited figures. This is what it provides. And this is constitutionally mandated because the governments cannot spend money from consolidated and contingency fund unless being authorized by the legislature and the parliament. So this is a constitutional mandate. However, if you look into the budget, it puts heavy emphasis on financial transactions. Take any budget document, you will find the finances, but it doesn't tell you what is your target, what is the physical achievement, what you got out of this expenditure. It's difficult to find answers to these questions. And since budgets do not give physical targets or outputs, it's very difficult, it's not really amenable for monitoring. If I go to the plan schemes or the budget, I can say the scheme is successfully being implemented. Are they going to meet the target, etc. But this is not something new. Even the very first administrative commission, Government of India, identified this problem of state governments and the government of India. By the way, though we emphasis on the Kerala budget, I think this discussion is relevant to the budget of the central government as well. In fact, most state governments, these discussions are equally relevant. So the Administrative Reforms Commission actually recommended to introduce performance budgeting. I think probably early 80s or late 70s. They recommended. It's not that something new. And what is it meant for? We talk about a prioritization, effectiveness, efficiency, but we have to also understand this is not a private organization. Governments do have multiple objectives. It is not just amenable for a simple cost-benefit analysis in the economic sense. Many of the services you cannot find a market price. So to be fair, we cannot blindly look into a government budget and say that, is it, what's the benefit, what's the cost, how much return it is making. Having said that, it is still a very developed area in which governments can come out with performance budgets. There are various examples, there are many methodologies for that. Now, if you talk of the current budgeting, one comment that I would like to make is, it is incremental. You take any scheme, maybe probably from 1951 onwards, if any scheme is continuing, Every year you find that 10%, 20%, 20% is being given to a scheme or a program in the budget. And if you have a careful evaluation, you may find that many of the schemes might have outlived its utility. And also it is no more efficient in terms of cost overrun and time overrun. One example I want to bring to your attention is the legislature that just here. I think it took almost, I don't know, 15 years? 15 years to complete.
Really budgeted amount is 25 crores.
25 crores.
After completion, it became more than 12.
So 25 crores became 200 crores over a period of 10 or 15 years. And last 5 years, they wanted to have a dome at the top of the legislature, and they couldn't find enough consultant engineers to design that. So I think that got delayed. But this is a story. I was actually working in the state planning board then. And if you see the plan documents those days, many schemes write that this is the final allocation and there won't be any allocation made in the next year. But then allocations are not done by us, it is done by the corresponding departments. So there's an indication by the planning board, depending on the outlay, what is the outlay across schemes. Then it is for the departments to allocate. Then departments look at the persons, schemes, etc. 10 for you, 20 for you, 30 for you, that sort of a thing. Rather than encouraging efficiency, if some programs are being implemented more efficiently, that should be rewarded proportionate to the benefits it brings. And some programs are not working well. Maybe this could be, I wouldn't say that discarded, should be revised, reconsidered, refined, modified, and then implemented. And who are the decision makers of this budget? Who make allocations? Finally, it is the legislatures. It is our legislatures who have the power to say that, okay, allocate this or not allocate this. That is who sanctions the budget. But then they don't have any information on performance of the schemes. They cannot ask, why are you continuing this scheme because there is no progress on this. Any document you take, you can see the progress. So basically what happens is, there is the allocation for this department is 1,000, but their demand is 1,200. So let us look for some other department for under 200 and give 200 to this, depending upon the relative political and administrative strength of the departments. It becomes sort of a bargaining at that point of time. Now there is something called a Financial Management Information System. Financial Management Information System. Now, this is very essential for financial management and the execution of the budget. As Prof mentioned, allocation of the budget, because one of the functions of the budget is actually allocation of resources to attain certain objectives. It could be welfare, it could be reducing the inequalities, it could be promoting certain tech sectors, etc., but this allocate efficiency. Then, it is also to bring transparency and accountability. You have to put along with this one, efficiency and effectiveness. Transparency and accountability. Suppose a program or a project has lagged behind. Who is accountable? Is the minister of the department? Is the bureaucrat of the secretary of the department? Or irrigation project is being lagging behind? Is the chief engineer who is responsible? Do we have an accountability? Now, all these accounts and performance, is it available to the public? Is there a transparency? Now, are the budget aligned to policies? Now, every government is democratically elected. Naturally, they have their own policies and they should promote that. There is nothing wrong in that. And then budgets have to be aligned to attain those policies. Are they really aligned? Now, is public control and auditing modernized, or is it still doing the traditional way of accounting, or is it modernized? Now, what are the importance of performance budgeting? It is the present system of budgeting with the emphasis on the financial aspect of government operations is not suited to evaluate performance of different departments, which I already mentioned. The budget specifies maximum amount that may be spent. See, the budget head of outlay, it gives 10,000 rupees. It means you can spend up to 10,000 rupees this year. It never says that you have to spend it efficiently or effectively or something else. This is your limit to spend. If you spend more than that, the treasury will not honor that. So up to that you can spend it. Now, it lays more emphasis on the cost aspect without corresponding emphasis on the result aspect. Nobody asks at any point of time, oh, you spend 70% of your money. What is the result you achieve? Now, performance budget is essentially a technique of presenting the operations of government in both financial and physical terms. That means, along with the budget, you should have the financial details as well as the physical details for each and every department. The performance budget defines the work to be done or the services to be rendered besides estimating cost. Now the budget only estimates the cost. It doesn't specify what is to be done and what results to be expected. In short, performance budget provides a meaningful classification of activities of government that serves to establish a proper relationship between inputs and outputs as mentioned by Dr. Velayudhan. So performance budget is actually try to establish a relation between input and output. Input means resources, labor, finance, etc. Output means it could be roads, buildings, it could be agriculture, it could be anything. Now, you would be surprised to know that Kerala introduced performance budgeting in 1970-71. In 1970-71, following the recommendations of the Administrative Affairs Commission, Kerala introduced performance budgeting, starting with the public works department, and progressively included more and more departments. And this year's budget documents, there are 4 or 3 performance budgets included. These are Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Department. I think this is the Agriculture Department now, it's being called the Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Department. Forest and Wildlife Department, Water Resource Department, and then concurrent evaluation and monitoring of schemes. So these 4 documents you can see as performance budget. Just go on with that one. Now, unfortunately, if you look into the documents, it is another way of writing the plan schemes. In the sense, how can you monitor performance if you do not have a target? I have an irrigation project. I am spending 10 crores of rupees. At the end of the year, I say that, now irrigation is available for 100 acres. But initially the project may be for 1000 acres. So unless and until the target is known to the public, known to the legislatures, known to others, how can you monitor the performance saying that you are underperforming, you are performing, you are overperforming? And there is also, as I told, again, one more surprise I have for you. I told you about the financial management information system. And there is such a system for Kerala government. Unfortunately, I cannot show it on the. I took a screenshot of the management information system of Kerala government. It gives progress report as on 21 to 2019. That is up to February 21st. You get the progress report of 2019. So that is fantastic. Almost a week before or the same day, you present the budget. You have your previous progress report. Really fantastic. And the type of schemes, state schemes, that's good. And it is arranged about 51 departments, details. Agriculture development and farmers welfare. Outlay is 9,357 crores. I'm sorry, 939 crores. Outlay is 939 crores. And expenditure is 550 crores. So expenditure in terms of comes about 58%. So this I am telling you, 22nd of February, 21st of February 2001, the money spent is 58%. How many weeks are left? 3 weeks? 5 weeks for the financial year to be closed. So in the next 5 weeks, are they going to spend this 42%? And what cannot be spent during this 11 months? What efficiency and effectiveness they are going to achieve by spending the remaining money? And similarly, animal husbandry, 51%, etc., etc. So I did a classification out of that. I found that 6 departments spent 75% or above. 6 departments spent 75% or above. 18 departments spent 50 to 74, slightly more than half. 19 departments spent 25 to 50%. That's slightly more than one fourth. 8 departments spent only less than 25%. 8 departments. That is almost there is closing. And in this context, I would like to bring your notice that we are having a cash shortage for the Rebuild Kerala. Rebuild Kerala, we are not effectively intervening because there are not enough resources. So if plan funds are lying idle, which they are not able to spend for one reason or other, is it not possible with the approval of the legislature to divert the funds? Or Rebuild Kerala schemes are being included into the plan and spent. Anyway, so outlay was about 30,000 crores for the 2018-2019, and the expenditure is about 15,000. So almost 15,000 crores is left unspent. Now, I'll tell you a story which perhaps most of us may not be knowing. It is not money not spent or something. This is a problem with the accounting in India, Indian states and government of India. They follow the accounting of cash method accounting, not the accrual based accounting. Now, cash based accounting, what happens is, if physically money comes to your hand, you enter into your book. If money is accrued, it is not entered. You have to physically get it. Similarly, if expenditure. Now, if you incur the expenditure, it will not find a place into the budget unless and until you actually pay it from the treasury. That is why in the budget you will not find an entry on pending bills. An entry on pending bills you will not find the budget because that is accrual. And all developing countries, OECD, and even Government of India also recommended many times that we should introduce accrual budgeting because that actually reflects the real situation. I can give one example. Today, you employ a staff. You don't pay his or her pension, gratuity, provident fund. Am I right? That's only after 10 years that person become eligible. Then when he retires or VRS, it gets. But you are making a commitment. Am I right? The person is working, you are making a commitment, but you are paying only salary. And where does that commitment go? In an accrual budgeting, that commitment will be included. If that is being included, you will not have the problem of salary and the pension amount getting accumulated. Because that is not charged today. That is being charged in future. Because you pay as of a lump sum later. So you find that it is skyrocketing. Now, I told you about the unscientific budgeting, which is not only Kerala, I mean all the states in India. Actually, this is a system we acquired from the British. And when other countries are moving towards this accrual-based budgeting, we are still lagging behind because it takes a little bit time. It cannot be done over a day or two. Probably it takes 3 to 5 years to shift the system completely. Now, in this context, I just want to know how our public sector undertakings are functioning. Now, I got a report, I think it's for 2014-15, and one public sector undertaking does not have accounts finalized for 12 years. For 12 years, the accounts are not finalized. That means the staff, the managing director, the department, every public sector undertaking is working under a department. It's all allocated. No public sector is working independently. That's administratively, all of them are linked to corresponding departments, and then every department has at least one public sector undertaking. And then 8 years, 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. Let me say that around 40 public sector undertakings do not have audit account for 2 or 3 years, up to 2 or 3 years. It's only 26 undertakings out of 96 have up-to-date audited account. Okay? So, if you are not able to complete the auditing now, when do you think to expect to complete the auditing? So, where are the audit accounts? In that context, maybe I would like to also tell you a small story. I mean, working in many countries, including Asia and Africa, the bank robberies are not uncommon there. Thieves come, sort of forced robbery, they enter the bank and ask the people to lie down and take the cash or give the cash, and they sort of run away. So 2-3 people came with the rifles or pistols, and okay, no, your cash, everything, coins, nothing left, etc. So 2-3 small sacks of these things come. Then also there is another sack, which the people want is a very heavy thing. So these people asked, what are these things? They opened it and they said there was only some books and other things. What are these things? We don't need books because we want to. No, please take it. We also taken some money. So we don't want to keep the books here, because once it is taken, this book is also taken. Now we will be safe. So this is sort of a status of a public undertaking, because unless and until periodic timely auditing is not there, how do you bring efficiency and effectiveness into public sector work? Second thing, I thought I should not talk about revenue, fiscal and primary deficit, because these are often discussed in the budget discussions. But one point I would like to mention that, you see the revenue deficit, I will just read it. This is 2012 to 13 to 2017-18, their accounts. That means they are audited, final figure, audited by the agent. That is deficit. 9,000 crores, 11,000 crores, 13,000 crores, 15,000 crores. It's an increasing trend, deficit. Now, in the current year's budget, you see it is 13,000, 8,000, it is coming down. Okay? Now, part of the reason the deficit is defined as the revenue minus, simple definition, revenue deficit, revenue minus expenditure. So, if you have an optimistic view of collecting more revenue, you can bring down your deficit on paper in the budget. If you look into the past, what was the budget estimate of deficit and what is the actual, you can see the discrepancy. But nobody, I think, does that sort of a study. And I think I cannot really show it to you here, but you can see the trends. For the accounts, it is growing, the deficit. But the current budget, it is coming down. And another point I want to bring your attention is, there is an estimate of 30,000 crores of rupees as a rupees income loss as a result of flooding. Am I right? Flooding. That's 31,000 income loss, right? Of our gross domestic product, right? Yeah. Now, if you see that what is presented in the budget, that is 6,86,000 crores of rupees is the gross state domestic product for 17-18. That's last year. Current year, the reverse estimate is 875 crores, 875,000 crores, or a 13% increase. A 13% increase in your state income, which I would say that it's unlikely. There is something gone wrong somewhere. On the one hand, say that your income has been affected, it is coming down. On the other hand, when you make the budget estimate, you say that our income is growing by 13%. So I think this is a little bit sort of an inconsistency on this one. This all I'm is the budget figure. Now let's talk about something of a good budgeting practices for efficiency and effectiveness. This is recommended by the OECD countries. Good budgeting practices, that is, provide for an inclusive, participative and realistic debate on budgetary choice. Public debate on budget choice. Is it done here? Partially, yes. I think up to last year, there were pre-budget discussions taking place. I don't know how far this was taken this year. So I would say it's a partially being done here. Now, ensure that budget documents and data are transparent and accessible. I say that's fully aligned. Whatever documents are there, you go to the site, you get it. So everybody who wants you, they can read it, you can download it and read it. So it's fully aligned. Now, closely align budgets with the medium-term strategic priorities. Now, medium-term strategic priorities in the state are linked to 5-year plans. That is, your annual plans are linked to 5-year plans. And 5-year plans more or less provide the priorities of the state. So I would say, to some extent, that's also met. Present a comprehensive and accurate account of public finances. Now, that is not there, because cash budgeting is practiced instead of accrual budgeting. The very nature of budgeting, you can hide a lot of revenue and expenditure. Do you find in the budget revenue? What's the revenue to be collected? Do you have any account? What's the revenue to be collected? That is, we have this many jewelry owners shops, or we have this many X, Y, Z. This is our assessment, budget estimate. But this is what we collected. What's the format? It is not there, because as per the current accounting, if you receive the money in the treasury, then only it comes to the revenue. What is not collected, what is not given, is not accounted for. Similarly for expenditure also. Manage budgets with a clear, credible and predictable limits for a fiscal policy. Now, deviations from budget forecast. You can see there are a lot of deviations from budget forecast. What is forecast as a fiscal primary deficit and what is being actually realized are different. Then, design capital budgeting framework to meet development needs in a cost-effective and coherent manner. Now, cost-effective and coherent manner directly address efficiency and effectiveness of public expenditure. That is actually the crux of the problem. Do we have a proper capital budgeting process? Unfortunately, no. Actively plan, manage and monitor budget execution. Plan, manage and monitor budget execution. To some extent, we do it for financial targets, not for physical targets. Ensure that performance evaluation and value for money are integral to the budget process. There is no performance evaluation. When you have a scheme, no performance evaluation is being done. I'll tell you, come to performance evaluation a little bit later. Identify and access the managed prudently long-term sustainability and other fiscal risks. Long-term sustainability, but our budgeting is incremental. We never, if it's a long-term sustainability, we will not try to live beyond our means. We will not try to live beyond our means. That is, we try to curtail revenue expenditure over a period of time to the revenue receipts. So every year, if there's a widening gap, means we don't have a long-term sustainability concern. Okay, now what needs to be done? Now, performance can be done only if you develop some performance indicators. Because we find often ministers, bureaucrats, or others, people's representatives to say that this program is working very well. This is happening. But what's the yardstick? In economics, statistics, we know that. We need, whether it's qualitative or quantitative, we need something to measure. We were supposed to construct 10,000 square feet of area for a park. How much you constructed? 5,000, 2,000. If you say park constructed doesn't mean anything unless and until you have that performance indicator. So it means the indicator has to be, we call it a SMART. SMART indicators, that's abbreviation, easier to remember. SMART indicators, that is specific. Indicators should not be ambiguous, it should be specific. If you are talking of a vaccination, then your indicator is something related to that. How many such, like, what do you say, H1N1 is happening here, is spreading. Okay, now last year we did have vaccination, so there were 10,000 cases noticed. This year, now we took preemptive action, and during that season, we started promoting vaccination. And we find out that there are only 50 cases. That's a very good indicator, very effective. We find that there are 12,000 cases. That means somehow or other the program was ineffective. So depending upon the indicator, you can see how successful that has been. Measurable. You can talk of an indicator, but if it cannot be measured, like we say that the service of police is very good. How do you measure that? How do you measure the service of police? So whether it is good or bad, it cannot be, because what is good for you may not be good for me. You need indicator, maybe number of cases pending, number of FIRs got cleared, or a number of corruption cases, etc., etc. One has to go into the details. Achievable, that is, you put a target. Like, Government of India, I believe, in their first budget told that they are going to have farmers' income doubled. Am I right? Farmers' income doubled. I believe that was one of the objectives. And then I don't think any budget actually measures what was the farmers' income then and incrementally how much it has come. That means if farmers' average income, or a section of the people, say poor farmers, marginal farmers, if it is, say, 10,000 at the beginning of the government giving power, then that means by the end of 5 years, it will become 20,000. And I would take in a money test, not in real terms, 20,000. That means roughly 20% every year. Then you have to say, okay, this year it is 12,000, 14,000, 16,000, 18,000. I have not seen any such measurements. Relevance. Is the indicator relevant? We are doing vaccine for H1N1. Then indicator says common fever. Common fever. Indicator says common fever. Common fever has come down. Is that relevant? Is it a relevant indicator? No. Timely and cost-effective, trackable. Can you track the indicator just like the farmer's income I told you? It is trackable. So if indicator is not trackable, it is not useful. Then what is a program project cycle? That is, you conceive a program project scheme. The objective is there, and I can actually give you one example for you, which I'll come to you with later. That is, you have 25 schemes which finance minister announced in the new budget. I'm sure all of you are aware of the 25 new schemes announced as part of Rebuild Kerala. Okay. First one is industrial parks and corporate investments. Industrial parks and the corporate investments. So this is the program or the scheme which is being announced. So for performance monitoring, what is to be done? Performance monitoring. From here, you have to go to the outcome and impact. What are this park and the industrial park and the corporate investment meant for? Industrial park is meant for attracting startups or other investors. So that means you would say, okay, we would like to have 10, 100, 500 startups or an investment to the tune of 5,000 crores or employment to the tune of 20,000 people to come and occupy this, or a combination of this. That is, from the scheme stage itself, you have to really prepare this. Since the park did not exist there then, baseline is all zero. You don't need a baseline indicator. There is no space there. There is no employment in that park. There is no investment. It's all zero. So that means from program, project, scheme, concept level, you come to the outcome level. Not merely output. Output is the square area which is built there. Like 1 million or 10 million square feet of area. That is a dead output. Suppose startups are not coming. What are you going to do with that? Suppose investment is not going. So that is not an end. The square feet consideration is only a means, and the end is more important things of employment, investment, and other things. Then, to achieve this, what are the inputs you need? You have to acquire the land, you have to have the infrastructure, you have to have the electricity, you should have the sanitation, etc., etc. This is the schemes these are the things you find in the plan scheme. If you look take the plan document, these are the things you find. So this is that we call inputs activities. Activities acquiring 100 acres of land, constructing 20 buildings. These are all in that one. Then outputs. Okay, we have 30 buildings for this much of area for the park. What's the outcome? Outcome is startups starting working there, employment taking place there, investment coming into the place. Then what is the impact? The impact is the forward and backward linkages. If this many industries and people work there, you find more hotels are coming there, tourism is developing there, the rent value is going up, more construction is coming there because people need accommodation. You find there is overall a growth of economic activity. This is the impact. Now, this is generally called logical framework analysis. That is, any project or program before you undertake, you have to do a logical framework analysis. It consists of display the key elements of a project design and their interrelationship, facilitates project analysis, project implementation, monitoring and evaluation, and the log framework basically tells you what is your goal, what is the goal of your program, what is the outcome you expect. For each outcome, there could be more than one output. Output 1, output 2, output 3. Then each output, there are more than one activity. Then you develop indicators, both for the baseline and also for the target. That is, when you commence the program, what are the indicators? When you end the program, what are the targets? Then these are the indicators. Then means of verification. In the program document itself, you have to write how are you going to verify this. You write the target indicator very good. How are you going to verify that? Then it is not over. In this program, you have a column which says risk and assumptions. I'm telling you, before starting the program, you are doing it, risk and assumptions. So if it's a national highway, what is your risk? In Kerala, it is the land acquisition. So you do a risk analysis and see it is feasible or not. Before taking an administrative sanction for the project, appointing engineers there and spending the money, after 2 years you find that somebody is not willing to give a land or there may be environmental concern. Then you do an environmental impact assessment before doing that. Not that somebody come and say, no, this is going to destroy the ecosystem. No, it's not. You see, the studies, this is what experts say. So we are prepared for that. So any project and programs used to have a risk analysis and assumptions, because every program you have an assumption. Unless you make an assumption, you cannot do that. You have to see how realistic the assumption is. And if you find a risk, you have to address it. How are you going to address the risk? Option A, option B, option C. So I have taken an example of this 25 projects of Kerala for 3 projects. And unfortunately, I can't say that they have done any of these things. No target identified, no indicator identified, no risk identified. It is more sort of a wishful thinking, as I say, including Thomas Hayes projects. By and large, it's a wishful thinking. But that doesn't mean that it is not going to happen. A lot of things happen, it has happened. What I'm telling is, objectively, you can monitor the program on a quarterly, monthly or yearly basis. If some of these things are incorporated in the budget and also made available on the website so that public can see that. We are not talking off our head. These are projects and programs well studied, well defined with a proper project design and to be implemented. And this is the one. This is the progress. And These are the milestones. How do you know that 6 months time, like a Vidinyam project? I'm sure that Adani has a milestone, because otherwise he won't be paying his engineers, because he has a clause of a default clause, I believe, is there. This much is to be paid if it's not completed. So there are milestones. So it's not for private sector, even governments also milestones. So what's your milestone for 3 months? What's a milestone for 6 months? What's a milestone for 1 year? Are we reaching there? No, we are delayed. So what? How can we fast track the process, etc. So I think this is something which I really wanted to discuss with you. What I have given is not an answer. This I just wanted to provoke a few questions, saying that it's high time that we stop about increasing revenue blindly. Talk about the efficiency of expenditure. Are we spending our money effectively and efficiently? That's it. Thank you.